Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by friends over at Eat Right Foods. And to tell you guys how amazing Eat Right Foods meals are, we had to bring in the big guns, literally the biggest guns I think we have here at ST.
No, that's a lie.
Smokey.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm super pumped. We're really excited to have Eat Right Foods. You guys don't really know me, but I'm more on the back end. And with this show, our audience is going to benefit greatly from this. I personally gained 30 pounds intentionally this time. And Eat Right Foods, their turkey, their steak, and their chicken, pre-done, cooked, boom, shipped right to you and tastes absolutely amazing. Hands down, the best food I've had shipped to my door pre-cooked. It was just absolutely killer and a great deal.
Absolutely. So eliminate the headache of shopping, cooking, and cleaning. Have Eat Right do all that work for you. You guys can head over right now to eatrightfoods.com. That's EATRITE foods.com. At checkout, enter promo code PowerProject25 for your 25% off your first order. And then we're not going to just leave you high and dry there. After that, use promo code PowerProject for 10% off everything else after that. Again, that's at eatrightfoods.com. Head over there right now.
Man, we're all going to kill it. We're all going to destroy that shit.
Bro,
That's the plan.
this audio sounds really good.
Whoa,
Yeah, that sounds great.
Doesn't sound really good.
Thank you for the best compliment I received.
Sounds good, right, Jason?
The audio sounds good. My
Dude, hear me
shirt
in your
color
head,
choice,
Jason.
I hear you in my ear and it makes me excited. Is that weird?
Wow. It's not weird. It actually happens to all of us. It's Nsima's voice specifically.
We had a
Smooth Panther.
Yeah, we had a trial run with Nsima. Like, let's see how this works out. And then we just I can't not go without that voice. So he's here forever.
Oh, so Nsima, you're a permanent show co-host.
Yeah, been here for a little bit. Don't plan on going anywhere. And if they do try to kick me out, I have dirt.
Well, not only that,
Yeah,
but we can't do shit to him.
He's got dirt and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You got some jiu-jitsu.
I have some jiu-jitsu, but dude, Nsima, look at this guy. Could you imagine
You
he's
can't
walking
block his fucking jiu-jitsu bullshit.
Yeah, come on. He would be,
Come on, bro. You could easily, you could easily block it, I'm sure. Just like this, you know? Yeah.
some Street Fighter stuff.
I think crying might work because he's a pretty compassionate guy. So if you start crying and screaming,
I think that's what makes him even more scary is that he is a very compassionate, nice guy. But I could imagine that on the mat, he'd be very nice, but just crushing you and just be like, I'm sorry I had to do that to you.
so on the mat, it probably wouldn't work.
No.
Damn.
Oh, God.
What do we got going on with TikTok? You started one up today?
I'm an official TikTok influencer now.
Awesome.
So I show up here and see, he was raving about TikTok.
He ambushed you.
He ambushed me. He really, and so he pressured me.
Well, we all did. Me, Andrew, and Josh.
You, Andrew,
all
and
ambushed
Josh,
you.
all ambushed me. But long story short, I have now officially created a TikTok account, and we'll see if I share something on it.
Picking on a little CrossFitter. Does that make you feel good about yourself?
Yeah.
I'm not picking on him. It's Jason fucking Khalipa.
That's true.
CrossFit Games winner.
I don't know.
He has to be there.
You feel picked on?
I feel a little bit picked on, but I'm okay because he's just trying to elevate me. He's trying to help me out.
Okay. He's trying to bring you up.
Hey, next year, if I'm a breakthrough TikTok star, I know exactly how it started.
Sorry with Josh, Andrew, and Nsima.
Yeah, it's been documented.
Formally.
Yeah.
Formally.
Yeah.
Did you make a post yet?
No.
Oh, so you have an account. You're there.
I'm just creeping on people now.
At least no one took your username, right?
Yeah,
no one took your
That's
name.
so important.
That's very important.
Somebody took mine.
Oh, really?
I'm so
Dude, it's
fucking
weird though. I
pissed.
swear I thought I had gotten one years ago
Same
just to
here.
kind of lock up the name, but now obviously not because I didn't have an account. So,
Yeah.
but now I'm officially on TikTok, and I think I'm just going to try and understand it a little bit better, and then kind of go from there. My original intention of not being on it was, it just seemed like it was more of an entertainment platform and less of an education platform, and for me, I didn't want to dance and sing for people. I wanted to try and coach and support, but. Nsima was very convincing that you could actually coach on the platform. And so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever rolled together?
No, it would be fun and terrifying at the same time, probably.
I don't think it'd be terrifying at all. Neither of us are spazzy, so
No.
it would be fun. It would be fun.
He would be, at both of our belt and level that we've been training at, it's less scary now than it would have been if him and I were both white belts and tried to go roll with each other. Because when you take two strong guys or even one strong guy, it's just very spazzy. You got to kind of develop it. The best way I've heard it described is jiu-jitsu is like a language. And you could first start off and you can know a few words, and then eventually you become like, at least you could have some type of conversational, but to become fluent takes forever.
At first, you're just kind of yelling and screaming.
At first, you're just kind of yelling and screaming, like picking a few words, and then, like a baby.
I like it. Have you taken things from jiu-jitsu and been able to implement them into fitness, into like some of your styles of workouts and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a really interesting carryover between jiu-jitsu and like our strength conditioning workouts where they both need each other. And specifically, let's just talk about the CrossFit community. You know, for so many years, people did CrossFit and they learn new skills, whatever, but they never incorporated martial arts and self-defense. And I think that's an area that we could have explored more earlier on. Instead of working out to work out more, we could have worked out to then enhance other areas, such as jiu-jitsu and whatnot. And then I think vice versa, in the jiu-jitsu space, not many people really talk about strength conditioning. I think it's a huge area that people could use and improve on.
As an athlete, was there anything that surprised you going into jiu-jitsu? Because you're not just an athlete. You were and still are a very high performance athlete. If anybody's listening and they don't know, you won the second CrossFit Games, right? You won the second CrossFit Games. You've placed very high before, but also when I started jiu-jitsu, I was just surprised at how fucked up people were fucking me up and they were half my weight, right?
Yeah.
And that's never happened to me. So like, what was the shocking thing that when you got into jiu-jitsu that you're like, I want to stick with this?
I mean, I think it's this concept that really early on, I was competing in the CrossFit Games for 8 years professionally, and we used to sublease out some space to a jiu-jitsu gym. And I would go upstairs sometimes in between my training. At the time, I was trying to be the best athlete in the world for my sport. And so anything outside of that was just a distraction, meaning jiu-jitsu, I couldn't do it. I didn't want to get injured. I didn't want to distract me from my focus. But I would always watch these guys, and it was almost like they were playing a chess game. And it was always super intriguing to me because it was like one move led to the next, and it allowed for like this critical thought while you're doing some physical activity. So that was really intriguing to me. And so once I was able to start doing it, I found that was exactly the case. That, it's like this chess game. And in the beginning, you're just trying to like stay afloat. And then eventually you get to a point where you're trying to be like 3 steps ahead, right? You're doing something to do something to then create a reaction, do something else. And that's really stimulating, especially in this day and age where it's so easy to be distracted with technology, phones, so many different priorities. When you're on the mat, it could require just full focus, which is really beautiful because you could take that in other areas of your life.
As far as like, I guess maybe compare this to other sports you do. Compare this to when you were a high level CrossFitter. Compare this to all the lifting stuff you've done. Is it just different, or do you enjoy it more? Do you enjoy something more? Or do you like it all?
I like any type of physical activity. Jiu-jitsu is what I enjoy now because I like to also learn. So so for example, if Mark takes me, or the other day we were here and I'm learning something new, that I love that. I love learning and I love moving. Those are like 2 things I really enjoy doing. In CrossFit, I learned and moved for so long. I met with all these industry leaders that eventually my learning gap started to shrink. So like Mark's ability to get 2% better at the bench press, he probably could, but he's not going to get 50% better. It's just not going to happen. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, what's nice about it is I feel like I'm constantly getting better and I'm making huge leaps, which are very inspiring.
Was that a big reason why you stopped CrossFitting or stopped competing as a CrossFitter?
No. So obviously with the competing in CrossFit, that one was a life, over the years. So I competed individually, and the way CrossFit Games used to be is you would have the open, the regionals, the games, and then if you placed well enough in your country, you would then get invited to what's called the invitational. And so you go represent in my case, United States. And so for years and years, I would compete year round, qualify through the open, which was online, go compete in regionals, which was more local, go compete in the world championships. And then thankfully, because of how I performed, I would go represent the United States in the invitational. Well, after a while, that started to kind of draw on my time and my relationships. My relationships in the business, right? Because we were growing our business, and then also my relationship with my wife. And at the time I had 2 kids. My son was born in 2014. So I knew I needed to make some pivots. So I ended up going team for a year instead of going individual, which is a little bit less of a time obligation and a little bit less stress. And then in 2016, as you guys know, my daughter got sick. And so it wasn't really like I chose to get out of CrossFit because I didn't love it or whatnot. I got out of it because my daughter got sick and it was 100% my focus then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you do a great job of like shifting gears. Like you're just like, okay, this is happening. Now I need to pour my time into this. Through the pandemic, I know you have many gyms, and that made things very difficult. And I think almost all the gyms are here in California, which was buckled down pretty good. And so you had to shift gears, and now you have this app going, right?
Yeah. So, our business at NCFit, we originally called NorCal CrossFit, and then we rebranded NCFit to be more indicative of what we offered. So we offered not just CrossFit, but other stuff. We did corporate wellness. So our business has a few verticals. We have brick and mortar gyms, like the ones you're talking about. Yep. We have corporate wellness, and we have a digital platform. And when COVID hit, it was really, really difficult for us, right? And we're still going through it in terms of like having to work with our landlords and all that kind of stuff. We learned a lot through that process for sure. But being shut down for a year was very difficult. But luckily, because we have these different revenue streams, we're still afloat. We're still ready to rock today. And we launched an upgraded version of our NCFit app, which is hitting the end consumer instead of the business model that we were originally working with. And it's been going extremely well. We're 1 week into launch, so it's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you had us mess around with it here at the gym, and it had music going in the background, and you could up the music, or you could up the volume of the coach to get coached through it. It's cool. Yeah,
that was the follow along version. Then we also have just daily motivation, daily workout options. But dude, that workout was tough. We did with those goblet squats with the 2-pood kettlebells.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys crushed it with the heavy kettlebells. I was like, I'm going to be smarter than them and choose a lighter one.
Yeah, I think it was, I got to look at, it was on the minute for 5 minutes of a bunch of different, 3 different exercises, but the goblet squat got really tough holding that kettlebell.
Yeah, it was bench pressing, then kettlebell swings, and then goblet squats.
Yeah, that's right. I remember I chose it because I figured I'd be able to draw a mark in with the bench press. And then at that point, he was already in the workout. So you might as well just do the swings and the squats.
Yeah.
So you had to Khalipa him, because Mark does this all the time to us too. He'll make it sound really simple to just get into the workout, and then after that he flips a switch, and then you're kind of screwed. But I wanted to ask you, like, how hard was it to get the music on the app? Because Mark just mentioned music, but you have like legit, like really good popular music on there, and it really does amplify the app. Like it makes it like, oh shit, this is my favorite song. It's not like some like copyright free, like cheap sounding music. It's legit stuff.
We just bootlegged it. We ripped it off Napster from years ago.
Sick. Napster.
You guys remember doing
that?
Hell yeah.
Ripping the music and making your own CDs. No, so in the beginning of COVID, we started creating these at-home workouts for people because we needed to. And so we started using just generic like do music. But after a while, you're like, man, I wish we had some like cool lyrics. And so we created a partnership with a company called Fit Radio. And they went and negotiated with all the different record labels like Sony and et cetera. And so we pay them basically a license fee to incorporate their music. So now on our app, you could have Drake, you could have Jay-Z, you could have all that stuff instead of just having generic like, dubstep.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot to it.
Yeah, that was something that was a big step. That was a cool deal that we struck. And it took years, like I'm sure you guys see this too in your guys' business. I created that relationship like 8 years ago. And we just now did a deal together, but we've had that relationship for that many years. It's kind of interesting the way things take time and relationships build.
The reason why I like your app so much is because people really just sleep on first off, at-home type workouts. So just owning a single kettlebell, I think within the pandemic, we learned how useful just kettlebell work can be. Like I was doing kettlebell work at home the whole time, and I was like amazed at how great workouts that I got. And that's a big thing on your app.
Yeah, there's a variety of different options, right? So you have like at-home workouts. You have more of like, a little bit more complex. So if someone has a garage gym, that's really the initial market for us, is a little bit more of the people who have, then a salt bike, maybe a rower, a squat rack, and some dumbbells in their garage. We could provide them a program they could follow, and a variety of different types of programs, which is great.
Yeah. And they don't have to be like hour-long workouts. Like we worked out for 20 minutes?
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah. It's a crusher.
I think that's one of the misconceptions that, I'm sure you guys have seen this with yourself, is like one of the things I wish anybody listening would realize is like, you don't need to be in the gym for a super long time. You just need to do the right movements the right way at the right effort. And I think that's the key is, like the one we did was 15 minutes long and I was smoked. And then you feel the benefits for days later, right? Because you're sore, your body's fatigued, whatnot. And you didn't need to be in the gym for 2-3 hours.
Nope.
The way that you train and the way that you go kind of deep into like some of these brutal CrossFit workouts and stuff like that, do you think it's like, is it like a mindset? Is it like a mental toughness? Like, do you have like David Goggins yelling at you in your head, or are you yelling at yourself in your own head? Or is it just simply preparation?
I need David Goggins,
Right.
No, I think that for a long time, right, it was like an internal thing. So when I was trying to be the fittest on earth, I would train by myself sometimes and with the group sometimes. And I did both intentionally because the group creates this energy that you can't even speak of it. It just radiates throughout the room. And all of a sudden you start seeing yourself perform better and have more fun, which is key because if you're not having fun, you're not going to stick with it. Other times though, I chose this train in my garage by myself because I needed to be able to inspire myself without having others around, including music. And you see that when you compete in these events, if you're very comfortable, and this maybe goes for jiu-jitsu too, if you're very comfortable to having people around you and music playing, all of a sudden when you get in a situation where you don't have people to inspire you, you don't have music to keep you moving, and all you're listening to is your heavy breathing, you need to be able to have an internal reason why you want to continue on. So I would kick my own ass in my garage all the time because I needed to dig deep to say, hey, why am I doing this? And to understand that, because at the CrossFit Games, you're not going to have someone on a 10-mile trail run cheering you on, right? You gotta know why you want to do that for yourself. So I did both though, because I also think it's important to train with others because that's where you get that little extra push. That's great.
Did you ever feel disadvantaged in CrossFit? Because like, I think we've talked about this before, how in CrossFit, there is like a body archetype. There's like a general, like 5'7", $180, $170, right? They can run, they can lift, etc. You were like the bigger guy, right? So compared to these other guys, it would be assumed that maybe you can't do as much endurance work as them, but you're stronger than them. Did you ever feel like shit? Maybe like you were disadvantaged at all, or how did you get through that potential weakness for the sport? If you call it a weakness.
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I think the archetype for like the top male CrossFitter in the world would be like 5'8"-ish, 5'8"-ish, give or take, 5'8", 5'9", about 190 would probably be about there. And so I was, I'm 5'9.5", maybe 5'10", depending on if I'm standing on this cushion. And, when I was competing, I was 207 to 210. Yeah. I'm like 212 right now. I'm not too much different than that. But you play this balance game, right? Where when I tried to lose too much weight to be better at gymnastics, I would fatigue quicker. I wouldn't do as well on my heavy lifts. And so it was a really interesting game that you would play with your body to see how you could have the best balance between weightlifting and gymnastics and then your more cardio pursuits. But instead of focusing so much on my weight, I focused more on my training. So an example would be when you're heavier, handstand push-ups are probably your kryptonite because especially strict handstand push-ups, they become very challenging to your shoulders or strict pull-ups, for example, or muscle-ups. And so I would instead just add in more stamina work on a regular basis on those particular movements, or go out for long, slow distance running versus focus more on how much I weigh, focus more on the training that I need to be better at those events.
Okay. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think one thing I love about the style of workouts that I've seen you do or that we've done together are that they are really simple. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, getting off an assault bike and doing something with some dumbbells, or some of the workouts you've shared with me in the past. And I think previously people thought that you needed to go to the gym and had to be this like 2-hour long process. Sometimes, depending on what it is you're going after, maybe if you're an Olympic lifter or a power lifter, strongman athlete, and you're competing, then maybe those longer workouts might be necessary. But just to be in shape, look good in a t-shirt, or be able to pop your top off in the summertime and feel good about yourself, the workouts don't have to be 2 hours long.
No, I mean, it depends what you want to do, right? I mean, when you're lifting, you got to kind of take a little bit more time to warm up, get your body prepared, and especially if you're going underneath like super heavy load. But if you're not trying to go underneath super heavy load, you could really get your core body, get your temperature up, work through a real range of motion, like 5 minutes. Let's just say you do a few stretches, get a quick 400-meter run in, whatever it is. And then boom, you can get into a 15 to 20 minute, what they call AMRAP or Imam. Those would be my go-to. So if I was creating a program specifically for someone, whether it's law enforcement or someone who wanted to be fit for life, let's just say, I would have them come in, preferably 4 or 5 days a week, but if they can't, if you could do 3 hours a week, it would be, a short 10-minute warm up, a maybe 15-minute strength session of doing like 5x5, something like heavy but not crazy heavy, where you had to take like a whole hour to get your body prepared, and then finish up with a 12 to 20-minute workout that combined 2 to 3 different movements, so you can kind of work these different push-pull concepts. So your body never fatigues out. So like, for example, you wouldn't do like push-ups, push press, and ring dips, because you would spend more time watching, like waiting to do, than actually moving. So instead, if you did push-ups, sit-ups, and squats, you could keep moving through that cycle nonstop for 12 to 20 minutes. And I like 12 to 20 minutes because I feel like it carries itself really well for these longer endurance events, and also can apply to more short sprint events. So if someone was just looking for some motivation to get in a workout, I'd grab a set of dumbbells, pick some different type of movements, and go for 12 to 20 minutes. I think you'd see some great results.
What are some weaknesses that you had when you were competing that you were able to identify and then able to fix?
An example that I brought up earlier was this idea of handstand push-ups. And I competed in this event one time. I think it was like you had to like pull this heavy ass sled with a rope, and then you would go back and you do what's called Parallette handstand push-ups. So Parallette are basically like these metal things that allow you to get about an extra foot deeper. So instead of your head hitting the floor and that's your range of motion, you can go down about another foot, and it goes all the way down to your shoulder.
Makes it more difficult.
Super deep, right? And so those were really challenging for me, and I ended up getting fatigued out and had to get stalled. And because those ones, like when you get to the point of failure, and this is really difficult from a competing perspective, because when you get to this point of failure, if you wait too long, you might lose the event. If you go too soon, you might fatigue out even more, not get your rep in, and then it ends up, it was a wasted rep in the first place. So that was a big mind fuck. But I would train those in my garage on the minute. So the way I like to train muscle groups where it's more stamina driven for me is on Imams. So an example would be 5 handstand push-ups every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. And then my goal over time would be to increase that maybe 6. Or maybe I do 7, and then maybe I only get through 7 minutes. Oh, this is actually one of the events. Oh my, how'd you find this, dude?
Just, searching. But yeah, no.
Now, so I'm killing this workout, right? I'm winning this by a mile. And then all of a sudden I hit fatigue on this. Ugh. But those are actually Kipping Parallette handstand push-ups. They're a little bit different because you can use your hips. They require a little bit more technique, but they're a little less muscle driven.
It's interesting too, because you have like gigantic triceps and you have very strong shoulders. So you figure like this wouldn't be a problem, but it's not necessarily that an exercise like that is more than just strength. A lot of your conditioning is coming into play here, especially because you're running back and forth with a whatever the hell that is, that's giant sandbag.
That's a giant D-ball. Yeah, sandbag. This is a different event than I was. This is D-ball. This event right here, though, man. So this is like over the shoulder, right? And then you do whatever, you ran it back. But to kind of summarize what I was saying, like these are one of the hardest type of events to compete in, because when you're throwing that ball over your shoulder, it's like 150 pounds, whatever. It wasn't a big deal. I could pick it up, lift it. Well, in that particular case, it looks like I'm having a tough time. But for the most part, right, it's not that big of a deal. You could always do another rep, right? It's kind of like doing a burpee. You could always kind of do another rep. Where it gets tough for something like a handstand push-up is that when your muscles start to really fatigue out, if you speed it up too much, you are just in a lot of trouble. And so having more confidence through Imams and stuff was critical.
You look like the fucking Incredible Hulk.
Seriously. Whoa.
It was the haircut.
Dude, no, while you're here, I definitely need to get an understanding of kipping pull-ups from you. Yeah. And also like handstand walk progressions.
Sure. Andrew, if you want to like fast forward towards the end. So I'm way in the lead here. And then I end up failing some of these reps. And that was pretty, so like, let's see if I fail this one.
You start to die out.
Yeah, I started to die out a little bit. Nsima, to answer your question, so you don't look like I'm dodging you.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
100%. I could work with you on kipping pull-ups and handstands. Handstands are definitely more of a acquired skill. You just need to practice, kind of like double unders, jump roping. All of a sudden, you can just one day just kind of click. But when you want to go for long distance handstand walking, it requires quite a bit of shoulder stamina, which is what we can work on. But like, look at that. So I'm getting close to failure, right? I come down, shake it out. This is where you really mentally, it's like, man, I could lose this event, or I just got to go for it. And then sometimes you go a little bit too soon and it's getting there. Right?
It's also hard because you have a judge who's like right there watching every single rep. So this is not a gym session where you can like, be like,
I got close.
Yeah, you're like, I kind of did a rep there.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, man.
Yeah.
Like I think Mark kind of asked this earlier in terms of pushing yourself, but is there, I mean, for athletes that are trying to figure, like they can't.
There it was. That was failure.
Let's say that they can't ever find that extra battery and they always peter out when they get to that point of just absolute fatigue and exhaustion. What's your maybe suggestion for those types of athletes? Because like I feel like it's an acquired skill to be able to learn how to, like, when you're really fucking tired, keep going through that fatigue, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that comes from like this idea of like earned confidence. Like even here, I mean, I end up finishing this event. I think I might have taken second in this event, but I should have won it. But like, see, I'm going too quickly right into it. I should have just relaxed. But your brain starts playing with you. But so after an event like this, I started saying, hey, I got to go in the garage. I need to really know what it feels like to hit failure. I need to understand what is my body going to feel like? 'Cause in this time, it was already too late. Meaning I should have already known, hey, at this point I needed to break it up longer because I should have put more time in the garage. So I should have known that, hey, if I do that, I'm going to end up having 4 failed reps in a row, right?
Yeah.
And learning that feeling. So I think the idea for athletes who are wanting to build some of this capacity is earning their confidence in the gym by setting up specific goals, either through AMRAPs or Imams. I think is the best way to go. And Imam is every minute on the minute. And dude,
Yes, no.
Oh man. And then the guy just goes, no reps. Like, yeah, no, yeah. Of course it's a no rep.
Yeah, you're like, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What's like when you're going through these workouts from a mental perspective, what's something you do when the workouts get to be really punishing? Do you just shift your mind to I don't know, just thinking of something totally different, or do you think like, I need to suffer through this and I need to get through this? So, do you kind of rely on like playing clips of like SpongeBob SquarePants in your head? Like, because some people get a little silly with where they go for their mental toughness, and other people, they like to just kind of, I guess, sit in the in how hard it is, how difficult it is.
Yeah, I mean, the idea for me through training was always to try and make myself the Ferrari in the room, meaning like my top end, let's just take a Ferrari versus like for lack of a better term, like a Civic. Okay. And this is no disrespect to anybody who has a Civic. I think
you got that one.
I got that one.
Yeah,
that was one more rep, right?
And you made it look easy too. That's the frustrating
you just
part.
need to wait a little longer on that
And
one.
so now,
watch it so you could be like, oh, that
wait,
was
let me
quick.
see.
And by the way, for everybody listening on YouTube,
what a joke.
we're watching
See, that's
Jason
not like-
compete. Like we're watching Jason compete, and that's what we're doing. Because you guys probably can't see this. So.
No. So back to my analogy with the Ferrari versus Civic, and I think this is a really cool analogy for anybody in training who wants to get ready for a sport, is that a Ferrari's top end, for the sake of argument, will be 300 miles an hour. Again, hypothetical. Civic, let's just say top end is 150, let's just say. If we could be in an event like this, and I know that my top end is 300, I could be working at 80% of my top end. Whereas another athlete who maybe their top end is 200 miles an hour, they're working at 100% of their threshold. So the idea is, as you go through an event like this, and that was a pretty tough one, is how do I make my shoulder stamina so good that I'm a Ferrari and I'm working at a small fraction so that when I need to ramp it up, I have something in the tank. And that's the key, because in this particular case, right, I needed to build up that engine more. And that goes for any event that I ever competed in, was I always wanted to get my high end as high as possible so I could just be smooth and consistent. And then when I needed to finish, I could, right? That was always the theory in training. And that's what helped me get through some of the dark times, is that it was helping build my engine to then make it easier when I actually got into the situation like that. It's the same thing with jiu-jitsu, right? If I can make my engine and my technique so valuable and so amazing, I can get into a match and just flow. And then when it's time for me to take my take my moment, I can.
So in that way, when you are in these moments, you can think of simple stuff like, oh, breathe. You know,
Yeah.
like rather than like you're going so hard, you can't even think about breathing.
Well, I mean, Mark, I think you bring up a really good point is like this idea of coaching yourself. And I was sharing this with someone the other day, and I think it's really important to reflect on. You guys have all coached people through stuff. When you coach people, it's mainly like positive, like, hey, you know, you're doing really well, Mark. Keep your weight back towards your heels. Hey, you're doing a great job, John. You know, keep going, whatever, right? It's always kind of positive. But when we coach ourselves, it's the complete opposite. Like we'll be in our own head saying like, I suck, this is hard, this is whatever. But if you could find a way to coach yourself as if you're coaching your athletes through positive self-talk and positive things, it really makes the challenging times better. Like take, for example, that last event we're watching, instead of feeling like, shit, I can't get another one, I should say, hey, all right, what I need to do on this next one is lower myself down to better position, make sure my hip turns over, and I'm gonna explode. That's what I need to do. Let's go do it. But I'm reinforcing using techniques instead of saying, I'm burnt out, this sucks, because that doesn't make your workout any better.
How did you learn that you needed to change your own self-talk, and how long did it take you to do that?
I used a sports therapist for quite a while.
Really?
Yeah. Probably took me a couple of years. I mean, it took me a couple of years to start developing that. And that actually played over into my life too. But yeah, I started working with a sports therapist, and it did wonders on my game. So in 2008, I won the CrossFit Games. 2009, I go back to the event, and I'm the reigning champion. So I'm the favorite to win. And the first event comes around, I end up getting overzealous, and I ended up passing out, like literally passing out. And when I passed out, I ended up taking last place pretty much in that first event. So out of the 74 people competing, I took 72nd. After that, I ended up coming back. I took 5th in the overall event. Had I not passed out, the results would have been much different because of the way the scoring system worked, but it doesn't matter. Long story short, I came off that event and said, man, I need to mentally be able to prepare for these events better because I'm getting overzealous. I'm getting too anxious. I'm worrying about things that are outside my control. And that's what helped me to pass out. So I go into 2010, I'm thinking I'm in a better spot. And I realized I wasn't. So I came off a 1st and a 5th. And at that point, I was the favorite to win it as well. First event of the first night was this a workout called Amanda. And it was muscle ups and squat snatches, which are both very complex movements. And I'm in the lead again, kind of like what you just saw. And then with just a few seconds left, I literally just went numb and I couldn't control it. So I ended up taking pretty much last in that. Oh, there I am on the ground.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was a running event, right?
Yeah, that was a running event. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is 2009, I thought I learned. 2010, I thought I learned too, but I didn't. And so finding a sports therapist in like 2011, 12 really helped to up my game to get me mentally prepared for the challenges ahead.
You look exactly the fucking same, by the way.
Dude.
Jeez. Is that like hair on your arms or is that dirt?
That was hair.
Bruh. Oh my God.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's the first time I've really gotten messed up like twice in my life from workouts. And that was, or maybe 3 times in my life. That was the worst one. Mm-hmm. It was real. I've never had that feeling before. You're just running and your mind, you just turn numb. You just fall backwards.
It kind of shows you your willingness to how far you'll go though.
Yeah.
You went above and beyond what your body could actually even handle, which is rare. Most people don't have that. Like I've never passed out like that on a squat, bench, deadlift, or run or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'm not condoning that type of behavior. It's probably not a healthy thing.
No.
But what that was a combination of me trying to push my body and then mentally being fatigued. And that was the trouble, is that the mental side was where I was lacking.
With the sports therapist, did they kind of teach you like they kind of teach you that you have to try to be less connected to this being your identity? Like how, you passed out and you did the best you could. You gave it everything you got. Now it's a matter of reloading and just training. It's not a matter of beating yourself up saying like, you're not good enough, you're worthless, people think you suck or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, well, I mean, this is so I guess to answer that in two ways. One is trying to separate yourself as just identifying as only an athlete is really important, because then if your performances aren't up to par, you feel like you're not up to par. But that's just a piece of who you are, right? You're a husband, a father, a business owner, whatever. And so that was important to recognize. But I think the big thing that he taught me in particular was not getting wrapped up in things that I had no control over. And I needed to learn how to calm my nerves. So when I was early competing, I would think that I had to get amped up. So in 2008, it was like I was an underdog. So I went into the final event in 10th place. I ended up winning, but I had no pressure on me because I was the underdog. Coming into 2009, I had a lot of pressure on me. And I fed into it. I created a playlist I'll never forget for this first run that was like 10 miles or whatever we ran. And it had like Eminem and all this like hardcore shit. And I thought I had to like pump myself up on this run. But you're going to be pumped up enough when you have thousands of people there and you're competing for money, fame, and to win. And that's where I went wrong early on, is I got too crazy too quickly. And it over like stimulated me. So by the time I actually got to the event, I was so overstimulated that I couldn't recover.
You couldn't like play your game. You were like playing everybody else's game.
I was playing everybody else's game. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. How long as an athlete did it take you to learn how to kind of calm down and compete, or calm down and do sport? Because I mean, think about like now with jiu-jitsu, I feel like jiu-jitsu is a sport where you don't want to be too amped up before you roll. You can't be, because that just, I feel like you're more vulnerable that way.
Yeah.
Right. So how long did it take you to implement that after you knew about it?
It took me a while. Right. So if you look back on how things progressed, I mean, I competed in many, many events over the years, and it took me probably, I mean, I always still get, I even till this day, my last time I competed, quote, professionally was in 2019 at this thing called the Rogue Invitational. They invited back what they called the legends.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of like the, whatever you want to refer to the legends, is it best ever, whatever it was. They invited us back and I competed there. And I was much more calm. Probably started in like 2012, and then I had a great run of years. 2011, 12.
He won, by the way.
Yeah, the Invitational. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Wait, so the Invitational, you won that one?
Yeah,
sick. You just didn't mention that.
Yeah. 2011, 12, 13, 14. I had a great run because I think that was me blending the gap between the mental side and the fitness side. And I think that in sport, the mental side is so strong, especially for people who are great performers in the garage. But when they actually go out to go perform on a big scale, they get too crazy. And what helped me through that process was really this idea of like, what can I actually have an impact on, and what can I actually control? Let's stay in that lane. If it's outside of that, I don't even want to worry about it. So throughout the duration, let's just say I had an event at night, I'd be listening to like reggae and country music. I wouldn't be listening to Eminem and Drake, right? I would try and free my mind from whatever, and I would visualize the event and what I could do. How many reps did I want to do? What do I want to do? But I would worry about that. I wouldn't worry about what my competitors were doing. And I would focus more on my warm-up and my preparation versus anything else. And that really helped me.
I think I texted Jason. I was like, what is this I'm hearing about you coming back and doing some CrossFit and stuff? And he's like, yep. And he just sends me a picture. And he's like, in the number one spot on the podium. He's like, yeah, just at the Rogue. He just sends me that picture. I was like, oh, shit. Like, okay, he already competed and he fucked everybody up. It's awesome.
That was a cool event. I mean, it was a little bit different. I try not to... even though I did win that event, it was the spirit of it was definitely like, bring these OGs who are like the whatever trailblazers in the sport is a good way to describe it, and let's have a friendly throwdown was the theory. So it kind of feels weird to kind of that's why I don't try and boast or share about that win, because it was the mentality was different, right? Whereas in the games, the mentality is like you're going for blood. This one was a little bit more friendly.
I like what you said earlier about, trying to not only identify as just an athlete. I think that's really important. And when people ask about, how do you deal with, negative comments on social media, I think that's another important thing, is to kind of remember, like, social media is just like one tiny part of your of your life. And if you post something where you're selling a product, or you post something where you're trying to get information, and people are like, you're doing those curls wrong, this is stupid, like, why are you spreading wrong information, or whatever that it is that they're trying to cut you down at. I mean, I think, number one is that person doesn't know you. Number two is you don't have any control over what other people are going to say, or how they're going to interpret the information that you put out there. And then the third thing is like, yeah, that's not your identity. Whether you have, 1,000 followers or you have 10,000 followers, that's not the only thing that you do.
And that's tough. Social media is a very tough landscape. We were talking about TikTok kind of start this whole thing off, and there's definitely a means. Social media could definitely be a powerful tool from a business perspective. And, even from a personal perspective, be able to see what other people that are doing and whatnot. Many of us in this room have built part of our business, if not a lot of it, off social media platforms, right? Including, podcasts are a little bit different because they're a little bit longer format. So I feel like it's a little less, it's more
less direct. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think to kind of lean into your point for a little bit, I was talking to this guy, Elliot Marshall. I'm not quite sure if you guys know who he is. He's a former UFC fighter, really nice guy. And he was saying that's really important to separate who you are from being an athlete, or even in that case, being the owner of a business. And what he was saying is that for a long time, he equated his worth to winning or losing fights. So when he lost fights, he lost himself, right? Like he wasn't good enough. It wasn't that it was, he equated that to him not being good enough in life, right? Versus him just losing a fight, which is part of sport. And one of the analogies he brought up, which I found really impactful, was this idea of how if you connect your self-worth too much to business, and this one in particular was interesting for me, that you'll never take the necessary risk to go to the next level. So his theory was, if you're so connected to your business and you identify as a business owner, you will always stay in this kind of safe zone because you're going to be afraid to ever push the envelope and move on to new things because you're afraid of failure, because that failure in your business directly relates to who you are. And I found that to be really interesting because as an owner of a company myself and feeling so connected to it, I've never been one to not, take opportunities and kind of take a little bit of risk. But the more I think about it, I could see how that could be an issue, because if you're so wrapped up in your identity to your company, you may never want to take these opportunities that are 50-50. They could be the greatest thing ever, like creating the slingshot, or they could be detrimental and no one buys it. And now you think that you're worthless.
Let me ask you, man, did Jiu-Jitsu help you out a lot at all with that? Because let me tell you this, it helped me out because it's been a long time. I started 5.5 years ago. I think I was 23. And it was a long time since I did an athletic thing that was new and that I was absolute shit at and that I had no experience at. And I think getting beat up so much and being new and not understanding anything helped me realize, this is how it feels to be new and bad at something again. I can go do this with a lot of other shit. This is fine. I'm comfortable here. Right? Did that help you out all or no?
No,
yeah, for sure. Especially for me, I'm coming off, being like a world champion in a sport, and I'm coming off like a top 3 position in CrossFit. Yeah. And I started Jiu-Jitsu shortly after that. And what I will say is that it was very humbling, and I had the right people around me at the right time. I had the right people who recognized the benefit of my fitness and strength, while simultaneously, they worked really well with me to make me feel comfortable through the journey and not ridicule me. Hey, you're super strong and fit, but I'm kicking your ass, right? They really were supportive along the journey, and that made a world of difference for me. But learning the new skills and being humbled by that, I think has been powerful for me in many areas of my life.
I'd imagine being exposed and getting beat up, as he was saying, kind of over and over again, and even if they're doing so in a kind way, making sure that you're moving along in the right direction. I would imagine at a certain point,
pat your ego a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it's it's probably be a good experience for everyone to go through.
It really, and there's something about martial arts, in particular jiu-jitsu, that's so old school. There's something about it, one of the original sports. You're talking about wrestling. It's just got man to man, girl to girl, whatever you want to call it, right? And you're just going at it. And there's a winner, there's a loser, but it's this kind of like old school battle, right? And on the mat, you could have these battles in a safe environment, right? Where you're not trying to like kill each other, but you're trying to have a great battle, and you win some, you lose some, but you could move on to fight another day, right? Like remember that Friday, remember that Friday analogy? But I think that there's something super humbling about that, because you realize no matter how cool you think you are, no matter how good you think you are, there's always someone out there that's going to kick your ass. Always.
Yeah. You know, if it's something that's been around forever, like in this case, it's organized fighting. You know, it's not just flat out fighting, it's jiu-jitsu. And I think that has just been around for millions of years. It's been, you know, even animals they'll fight each other for a female, or they'll fight each other for whatever reasons. You don't see animals like playing basketball. You don't see animals like playing soccer. You don't see they don't do that shit. They only fight, you know? So like if somebody gets off an assault bike and then jumps rope better than you and then does an overhead squat better than you, you're like, well, this is just some weird made up bullshit that someone made, and I'll figure this out, but it's like kind of confusing, and I got to figure out how to get better at that. But when it comes to fighting, it's got to be demoralizing to have somebody, you know, because you're like, this is supposed to be a natural thing, and as Nsima pointed out before, he's like, it's actually really weird because it's so technical. There's nothing really that natural about it. You know, you have to, somebody can naturally be aggressive, somebody can naturally be strong and just get totally annihilated by someone that knows even just a little bit of jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
for sure. And I think to your point, I mean, that's the beautiful part of it is like, for me, if I wish I had gotten into it earlier. And I love what we're doing at NCFit. I'm a big believer that we are making a huge impact on people in their fitness, and we do that a variety of different ways, including our app. And I should say, jiu-jitsu is not for, I believe everyone should explore it, but it has a huge barrier to entry. So fitness is great because everybody needs it, whether it's a 10-minute walk or our workouts or whatever. I want fitness to never inhibit the things I want to go do. So if I want to go do something with my son, I can, or my daughter. And I believe everybody should feel that way, right? Especially through COVID, you're realizing that health and wellness is so important. In particular, the people that were most susceptible to what happened with COVID, right? And what is in our control is staying as fit as we can. That being said, jiu-jitsu is this additional level. And what makes it really, really difficult is the barrier to entry. When you enter into a physical sport, it is intimidating. And that's coming from a guy who I'm not very, I'm okay with physical stuff. And I was still intimidated. I still am. And Nsima, look at this guy, right? I'll roll jiu-jitsu with him, but I'm going to be like, oh shit, right? And so we need to get more people introduced to fitness first. And then I think as you grow your fitness journey, if you want to explore new things to test your mental state, like in your body, jiu-jitsu is a great outlet for that.
There's not necessarily a 10-minute walk version of jiu-jitsu.
I mean, you could just do some like snake moves and like some hip escape. Like you could do some stuff on the mat, but it's not the drills,
but maybe not. Yeah, because you're going against somebody else.
Yeah.
I equate it to this. I was talking to a friend about this. He doesn't do it anymore. But like when it comes to fitness, you can scale yourself into it. Even CrossFit, right? There are easy CrossFit workouts that even if you're 300 pounds, you can do it, right?
Right.
But with jiu-jitsu, since it's grappling, and unlike boxing where I could just punch you and punching makes sense, grappling doesn't make sense to most people unless you're a wrestler. So it's legit like taking a fire hose and getting sprayed every single day for a few years until things start to click, but nothing clicks for the longest time. So you're just staying here and taking that water to the mouth and drowning for a minute. And that's what it was like for me, at least. I don't know if that was like
it's the same.
You.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, it definitely for someone who has an interest in learning new skills, it's a great option because it's endless.
Yeah.
If you're not that interested in learning new skills, if you're not that interested in rolling and learning grappling, don't do it. That's fine, right? But at least if you have somewhat of an interest, you should probably go explore it because you won't regret it.
Let me say this. I wasn't using that analogy to discourage people from it. I think that experience is really fucking strong.
Yeah.
I think that it's a really good experience to go in every day and just understand it's another day where I'm getting beat up, but I'm going to learn something new and go in and go in and go in. Because at the point that it clicks, that is so rewarding when it finally starts to make sense and you finally start to see things and you finally maybe get your first tap on somebody. That is so rewarding.
Yeah. It's like hitting a PR on a squat. but you could hit a PR potentially every day. Similar idea. It just takes you a while to get there.
And you're not going to be good at it just because you want to be. You got to put a lot of time into it, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's one of the benefits. I mean, that's also one of the good things about CrossFit too, and Jiu-Jitsu is that this idea that you could talk about it a lot, but you got to kind of back it up with the work that you put in. It's the same thing as saying, I want to, deadlift 1,000 pounds. Well, it takes you years, if not decades, to build up to that. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into it for sure.
What have you learned about kind of managing expectations? Because I think that expectations is where is where our interpretation of what happened can make us, quote unquote, make us sad or make us happy. What have you learned about expectations in terms of business? Because you could be expecting these numbers to happen, right? Or particular workouts, like that workout that you passed out in. Like, obviously, you're not expecting to pass out, right?
No.
And it leads to a lot of disappointment. You finish first, and then wham, this event comes along and you get your ass kicked. You're not expecting that. You were expecting something different, and so we end up extremely disappointed.
I think that setting expectations is it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because you want to set expectations, but you want to set realistic ones. But sometimes you don't know what realistic expectations are because you've never done it before. An example is I'll just use our app launch, for example. We launched this app about a week ago today, and we set a goal, a very conservative goal for a month because we wanted to get wins underneath our belt. And we wanted to get some actuals before we set 6-month or 1-year goals. And so we just set a 1-month goal and we made it very achievable so that our team can feel like we're winning. And then once we got that 1-month goal, we would look at the daily, the weekly, the whatever, and then create maybe like a 6-month plan or the rest of the year plan. That was a way that we can manage expectations appropriately, where we can get wins for the team, get wins for us, and then build it based on actuals and not just hypotheticals. Something that we haven't done good in from a business perspective is celebrating the small wins enough. I think that for me, I'm always chasing the next thing, always, especially in business. And it's nice to kind of stop and smell the roses for a second and recognize where success is. So if I could go back into my career, which is what I'm doing now, I would set up these pillars and I would make it mandatory. So for example, on the app, when we get to X amount of users, it's mandatory that, we go do this event. Or when I get to this, we're because that gives a tangible moment where we take a step, we have a cup of coffee or whiskey or whatever, and we celebrate that win. Because time goes by, and then all of a sudden you realize, man, we had all these great deals, but we never celebrated them along that journey, which I'm sure you guys have seen it at through Slingshot and whatnot. So, anyways, expectations. But when it comes to the actual events, like one of the things that happened to me when I passed out was there was a moment for me where I could lean on that experience for the rest of my life. And what I mean by that is that I'm running, I pass out. This guy, Dave Casher, who's the director of the games, comes to me and he says, hey, you have 2 choices. You can either tap out or you can go ahead and get up and finish this event. But if you don't finish this event, you're out of the games for the rest of this event. And at that moment, I chose to get up and finish the event. And that was something I could lean on for the rest of my life, that when my back was up against the wall at that particular moment, I earned the confidence because my answer was, yes, I will continue. And so even though the expectation wasn't, hey, I want to go pass out, the expectation was to reach my full potential and to do the best I could. And I think in that situation, it laid a framework for my confidence that helped me for the next 10 years. Because when I actually was up against it, I chose to continue on. So I don't know if actually that's a roundabout answer.
No, it's hard because you want to have like probably low expectations, so that way you're always pretty excited. I think one way to look at it in general is just to say, hey, look, on my worst day, I know that I should be able to do this because I have trained this amount of hours or I've prepared this amount of hours, and this should at the very least equate to something along these lines. Yeah,
I mean, for me, the Rogue Invitational, my expectation was be competitive and look good. That was my expectation. I want to go in there and be competitive. I want to be looked at as someone who's actually like in the running, right? And then I wanted to look good, specifically, shirt off, getting down. I wanted to look fit. And so those 2 expectations weren't very hard to hit because I put in the work for days and weeks before that to put myself in that position,
I think that the big thing that I really hope people take from what you said is the small wins, because as people are heading through whatever fat loss or they're trying to gain some muscle, whatever it is, it's very easy. Like if you don't see the scale going down, or if you make one bad decision here or there, it's very easy to just be like, this isn't working, or it's whatever. But like even going through a day and then making the decision not to go to In-N-Out and instead go cook some food at home, even if your body didn't move that day in terms of the weight, that right there is a win.
Yeah.
Because typically you would have gone and done something that you shouldn't do, and you made a good decision. Realize that that's a win, and find those. Like literally try to search for those things outside of just the way your body's looking, because that can be something that keeps you moving in the right direction.
Yeah, those micro like positive reinforcements I think are so important, especially if you're trying to hit a pillar that's kind of far out. It's like, let's just say you want to get ready for a competition of some type, whatever it is, bodybuilding, powerlifting. It's very difficult because it's a macro goal. It's like, hey, I want to get ready for this thing in 6 months. But if every day you just ask yourself, did I put myself in the best position to perform well? By the time you get there, the work has already been done, because every day leading up to it, you add micro check-ins. And that's a great way to earn your confidence, to show up on that platform and be like, bro, it's done. I already put myself, for the last 6 months, I've asked myself, have I put myself in the best position? And now I just need to go out there and perform to my expectations, which are built based on those micro goals. That's what I would tell myself all the time going into the CrossFit Games, is every day that I put myself in the best position to win.
Do you guys think that there is danger in trying to manage those expectations, but maybe setting them just simply way too low and making things way too comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, I think that from a business perspective, like I was just saying about the app, we set them really low intentionally, but at some point you need to kind of ramp it up and give yourself some more challenging goals. But it takes time to kind of develop that, because I feel like if you make your commitment or your expectation too great, too quick, you need some wins. And then you got to start pushing the pace a little bit. Like your guys' sales, for example, on Slingshot, in the beginning, you probably didn't really know what was going on. You just kind of put it out to the world and saw what happened. Now you probably have more concrete numbers that lead to more challenging goals and expectations, right? Because you've kind of put in all that work.
I would like to say that's true, but I don't pay attention to it at all.
You know, the numbers.
Well, Andy,
there is somebody. Yeah,
somebody knows the numbers. It's just not you.
Right, exactly.
At least Mark thinks there's somebody.
When's the last time you looked at the P&L of the business?
I don't even know what that is.
What does P&L stand for?
P&L?
Profit and loss statement.
Does that shock you that he doesn't do that? You went silent for a second. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh man,
I'm different in more ways than one, but I think what just kind of makes me a little different in terms of owning any sort of business is the fact that I would view myself as more of an inventor than like a CEO or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it's just different. Like I try to create products that are good, and then I go from there.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I don't really worry about what it costs or logistics to ship it, or we worry about that like afterwards. I try to just make something that's dope.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. You guys have been able to build a really cool business because you also have great people working here with different sets of skills, right? So like you might be the inventor. Your wife is, I mean, I would probably refer to her as the CEO.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And, then you have Smokey and Nsima and Andrew and Josh and whoever else that build up this team. And one thing I do want to congratulate you on, this is really cool, is the retention that you have had on your team. I got to tell you, for those people who listen, like you've had the same team for a really long time. That's pretty cool. It speaks volumes to how you are as a team,
Yeah, we have an awesome team. Yeah. I mean, it helps a lot. I mean, you're not going to, I think people think that you're going to be able to do a lot of stuff on your own, and whether it's winning the CrossFit Games or whatever, it's like you had a sports therapist that you went to. You had other great coaches that you went to for conditioning. You had other great coaches that you went to for Olympic lifting. And I think that it's really helpful for people just to try to be resourceful. So like I don't have certain skill sets when it comes to business. I'm sure I could work on those and maybe obtain those, but they're not in my interest. Like they're not in my eye line, or they're not in my horizon. So I don't care to learn them. So if I choose to do that, then I feel like I'll be pulling away from other interests. And now I'm kind of almost, I guess, doing a lot of stuff that I maybe won't enjoy. And then also kind of becoming a slightly different person.
Yeah.
As you consume that information, as you consume that energy. We've had other CEOs here that are brilliant like they're in fitness and they're amazing with their products and they're amazing with their bottom lines and they know how to figure all that stuff out. Christian Guzman was like that. Todd Abrams was like that, where they start spitting out stuff and you're just like, man, this is incredible. Like they're good. They're good at just multiple things. For me, I like to lift and then I like to make cool products.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, that's interesting. Finding out, I think as an owner, right, or as someone who starts a company, it's really difficult to find things like, because you have to spend some time, especially in the beginning, doing things you probably don't want to do. But then over time, you got to figure out where your strengths at, because you're going to add so much more return for the company just focusing on what you're good at and what you like to do than you would if you spent a bunch of your time doing things that you weren't good at and you didn't like to do. Better off just finding great people to surround yourself with, like you guys already have.
Are you someone that always wanted to put things on your shoulders, or were you good at finding people to actually do other things that you weren't great at and delegating that?
I think I'd like to say that I was good at delegating and I don't have like an ego, but I think at the same time, I probably delayed too long and I thought that I knew, I thought that I was good at everything. I thought that I was the best at everything in our company until you realize you're not, doing everything at 70% is never going to be what someone can do who's actually good, putting 100% of their effort into that particular thing. And that took me a while to learn at the company. Had I learned that skill earlier, I think we would have been in a better position we are now. However, in like 2010, I really started delegating because we started expanding globally. And once we started delegating and I allowed myself to focus more on things that I'm good at and what I like to do, our business really took a turn in a better direction. To your point.
Yeah, I actually had a question for kind of like all three of you, because all three of you execute on multiple things very, very well. Jason, you have multiple businesses, your own fitness and, jiu-jitsu, and then you're an amazing family man. Like, I was actually asked on another podcast, like, who are some fathers that I look up to? And it was you and Mark Bell. So,
thanks, man.
I appreciate your guys' friendship. But it seems like everything you do, you execute extremely well. I have a couple things going on, and every now and again, and when I say every now and again, I mean almost every time, I'll be thinking about like, oh, this could be a social media post, or this could be this. Like my brain jumps around all over the place. But it seems like you're able to compartmentalize very well. And like when you're here, you're here.
Yeah.
When you're with your family, you're very present. How do you think you're able to stay so focused on each thing? And again, I think all three of you have something to say about this.
I think you wrote a book on it.
I did write a book on it.
Oh, shit, really?
AMRAP Mentality.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So good plug. I wrote a book, As Many Reps as Possible, really about that exact same thing. What I found in my life is I was spending time 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like what you were just saying, Andrew. Mm-hmm. And equating this back to like jiu-jitsu in particular does a great job of this, because if you're not present and focused, you're going to get messed up. And how do you take that mindset off the mat, right? Where you're present, you're focused. This is all I'm doing right now, and I'm all in, and then take it into this podcast, take it into business. And so it's this concept of as many reps as possible. So the way I do it, Andrew, is each facet of my life, I approach it like an AMRAP. I say, hey, I want to get as much out of this as I can in the time that I'm doing it. And then once I'm done with it, I'm no longer going to think about it. I'm going to move on to the next thing. It's like what we're doing right now. Like, you don't see me on TikTok, right? I just started an account today, but you don't see me. You don't see me on TikTok, right? You see me here with you guys, right? And I really want to have a great conversation. And then after this, we'll go focus on something else. And I think that's the secret, is that. And the social media thing becomes really tough, by the way. Like you're at dinner with your family and you're thinking, oh, do I need to go make a post on social media? And that becomes really, really difficult. You got to just be able to shut that off a little bit more, because I've learned the hard way that your kids can also really tell when you're present or when you're not. And it's easy not to be. And you have to consciously try to be. And that's something that I work on a regular basis. Like, I film my workouts in the garage with my kids, but I'm not like on my phone. I just film it. And then later on, I can look back on it. But aside from that, when I'm around my kids, I try not to have my phone around as much, just because I want to be able to spend really quality time with them and not be that guy who's like, one thing that I learned, and I'm sure you guys embody this too, is when I get home, I try and get off the phone. So like what I used to do really bad, Andrew, and I don't know if you've had this happen to you, but I would be on a call in the car and I would get out of the car and I'd be on the phone. I'd walk into the house and I'd still be on the phone. Right. I don't know if it's happened to me before. And then the kids like will run up to you, and I mean, my kids don't really run up to me that much anymore. They're kind of grown, and they're just like, "Hey, Dad," whatever.
They don't care over it.
But back in the day, they'd come and they'd run up to me. I'd be like, "Oh, 1 minute, baby, 1 minute," and it's like instead I'll just finish the call in the car, and then this way when I can go inside, I can really be kind of that engaging presence. So that's one thing that's helped me.
I think a lot of parents do a shitty job of that. And they, not only on the phone, but they're in the middle of an email, and the kids, I think it's okay to do here and there, because part of like the kind of work that we do, or even just kind of work that most people do nowadays, is they have some sort of, people are like managing something online, whether it's just trying to have more followers or to try to make money off of social media. And so it makes some sense. It's like, my dad wasn't always there. My dad was always working. Your dad was probably always working. Like I barely saw him when I was a kid. And so it makes some sense to not always necessarily be present for the kids. But I think it's kind of shitty when your kid's trying to show you something and you're like, oh, I'm in the middle of an email. And then what I see parents do, and this is even worse, is they have the double-edged sword going where what they're doing is important, but what their kids doing is shit. Like with their kids on their tablet, their kids on their phone, and you're like, put that away. You're just talking to your friends or whatever, like as if that's not as important as what you're doing. But to them, you got to remember when you're a kid, like hanging with your friends and like just the idea of your buddy coming over to your house and like riding bikes together or something is like kind of all you got. You're super pumped about it. And so I've recognized that for myself. I try to be away from the phone as much as possible when I'm home. And sometimes I will say like, hey, I got a couple emails, a couple texts to go through, and I'm just going to be like off in the corner here for a few minutes. And that way they were not coming and disrupting me trying to work.
Yeah. And Nsima, from a different perspective, I mean, you don't have kids. You do have a pupper, a dog.
He's my child.
Yeah. But I know. But I do see you're focused on jiu-jitsu, you're training, you're working with clients, like, and then on top of that, you're TikToking like crazy at Nsima Yin Yang. How do you think you keep everything together?
What the fuck was that book?
So almost everything.
No.
Memory.
There's this book that it's from this guy. I read it a while ago. It was called The Power of Now. Yeah. Y'all ever heard of it?
Yeah.
He's all about the present moment and stuff.
Yeah.
And after I read that, I was like, I need to pay attention to make sure that when I'm with people, I'm with people. So that when I'm with them, I'm not like, opening up my phone, or if I get a notification, I'm not looking at it. Like I really try to keep that a focus. And I've noticed that, like, for example, in jiu-jitsu, if I think too much, or if my mind goes somewhere else, I don't roll as well. And that's an athletic context, right? When I don't think and I'm just doing what's in front of me, everything just flows. Great, right? Same thing with my experiences with people. When I'm with them, I'm talking to them, I'm just literally talking to them and looking at them and listening to them. Everything's good. And I just try to keep that. I just try to do that. And that's been helpful for me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you guys are curious about that, actually the present moment, and you like to like read or listen to audiobooks, it might be a little woo-woo sometimes, but that book, The Power of Now, is pretty dope.
I don't believe that we need social media. I think it's something that came out of nowhere, and it's like more recent. And
last 10 years or so.
Yeah. Right. But we do need each other. Like people need each other. Like you can't be isolated. You can't be by yourself. Like you'll go crazy. A quote I heard the other day I found really interesting is it said, "You'll never have enough of what you don't need." And so you want to, I think, treat social media that way. Like you could be on there all day and it would never be enough.
Yeah, that's a really interesting analogy or statement, right?
And making money and all those kinds of things can all be similar. Like you're never going to have enough of what you don't need. You probably don't necessarily always need extra of this or extra of that, or I think we feel that we need that all the time. We make that pressure for ourselves, I think.
I think the youth, I hope, is having a different perspective. So like, I'm in my mid 30s when social media kind of got popular. I was like 2013, 20, whatever.
2012.
Yeah, 2012.
Instagram popped off.
Right, like 10 years ago. And I think that, we're all trying to like kind of understand it, build a business from it. And it became kind of a part of our lives when we were a little bit older. And I wonder if at a younger age, when people get introduced to it, if they start creating guardrails earlier than maybe we did, or maybe vice versa, maybe it's 10 times worse, right? Because like for my kids with social media, first off, they're not on social media. I mean, my daughter's 10 and my son's 7.
But as far as you know.
As far as I know. If she has she has a
burner phone.
Oh my God. But I would hope that maybe the parents, maybe this is a good way to look at it. The parents have created better guardrails, I think, because people are more aware of like the bullying that could go online, the idea that someone could just literally be on an iPad all day, every day. I feel like maybe people are like wisening up to like creating boundaries for their kids on technology, where maybe when we were younger, it wasn't as common because technology was all brand new. It was like people would sit there and watch. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wondering where it's going to go 10 years from now. Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree with you. It's once a kid has access to Wi-Fi, then they have access to every and anything that you can think of on the internet.
Oh man,
good, bad, or otherwise. They could just be looking at kittens, or they could be looking at something crazy, right?
Dude, it's funny you said. Good one, nice.
No, seriously, right? They could be looking at kittens or something other than that. Yeah.
I mean,
Different.
that was a smart double meaning. That was a smart double entendre. I dig it.
I liked that one too. That was good. Yeah, the internet. You can go down some deep rabbit holes.
Yeah, but I think like what you're saying is, having some boundaries to it. There's apps, right, that people can have where you can kind of, or you can like lock the kids' phones. I'm sure the kids know different ways past all this stuff. I think the main thing is to teach them, just like with food. Like there's going to be ice cream around. There's going to be, macaroni and cheese. There's going to be chips. There's going to be all these different foods. They're all enticing, but let's not have them all the time. Let's focus in on doing healthier things. So let's focus in on doing healthier stuff. Like it's important for you to get outside. It's important for you to play with your friends in person. It's important for you to meet people in person. And then maybe you really enjoy social media.
Yeah.
No big deal. Like you just cross that bridge whenever it comes up.
Well, I think people recognize the power of like those relationships through COVID. Just doing classes through the screen. Like my kids did not like it, and when they got back in person, even though my son's pretty introverted and he's not like super outgoing, he still likes being around other kids and at least having opportunities to have conversations in person. And so hopefully COVID showed like, hey man, like we need to have that personal connection. Like it feels good to go out to dinner with a group of people and hang out. And
your son's going to kick my ass one day for breaking his scooter.
You broke this man's scooter?
He's going to be like, you remember me, bitch?
Dude, and then goes for Mark's legs because he does jiu-jitsu.
This guy was at our house and we were riding these scooters around and Mark just broke this thing. And it was like, I was just like it's just like the wheel just like broke off. But it was like,
when his son came out, his son's like holding like a blanket. He's in like his underwear.
Oh, Charlie.
Oh yeah, Charlie.
Here's the video. This is
we had a race. Charlie's like setting it up. We're going around the island in the kitchen there.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
I think you made us some pizza on this day.
Yeah, dude. I made you guys some pizza.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Is this you and me?
Yep. Yeah. Oh.
Here we go. Here we go.
Jason's starting off pretty fast.
The lead.
I was taking her easy. Oh, you went a different way.
Marlo, were you like 290?
Probably. Something like that.
She comes around here and it just pops off. Oh.
I just knew.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Look at the wheel. The wheel just
still finished the race.
Oh man,
just dragging it along. Jason, I don't know what happened to you. Like you like fell into the fridge or something.
I think I was laughing too hard.
Yeah, we started dying laughing.
It's funny how we're all still just children.
Yeah,
like this just looks so exciting.
Oh,
you break the scooter too?
I don't know.
So you also broke the scooter.
It's like
he's like, where's my scooter?
Jason's trying to explain it to him. He's like, we're gonna get you one tomorrow. He's like,
It's so funny.
Oh my God, he's so cute.
Kid is sad. He's so sad.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't remember that. poor kid. Oh man.
He's gonna tap me on the shoulder. I'm gonna turn around. He's gonna be like 6'4".
Hey, remember that time he broke my scooter? Oh man, that was a good time. Oh man, look how young he is. Kids grow up quick.
Yeah.
Look, he's like, I ain't having none of that.
You know what's funny? Here it is years later and he still has that blanket.
That's awesome.
But I really am curious how the younger generation he's trying to comfort him.
Yeah.
Like how they're just going to adapt to things, because I mean, if we really think about it, like ever since like we got the internet, things have been really growing fast. If you compare life in 1950 to life in 1900, not that different.
Right.
If you compare life in like 70 to 50, but like if you compare what we're doing right now in 2021 to 2000, it's kind of like, it's really crazy. And then it's just like, I think we're having to try to adapt to things so quickly, and we're not able to go at that pace. It's just so
you saw that commercial from Facebook now, right? Like about internet regulation. Like they've been doing this commercial where it's like, think about all the things that have changed. And then they're basically saying internet regulations haven't shifted since 1990 or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. But I mean, think about everything. Like everything is really moving quickly. I mean, not to mention like the, space exploration, but I'm also talking about like cryptocurrency, for example. Yeah. Like the dollar as we see it could be completely different 50 years from now with this decentralized, more crypto type currency.
Oh yeah. I think banks are done.
Dude.
I think it's gone. I mean, I think
like fiat currency
20, 30 years from now, I think they'll be gone.
Yeah.
Almost completely gone.
And
it's going to take a while, but I think they'll be wiped out like Blockbuster and wiped out like a lot of other things.
Good old Blockbuster, man. I used to love going there.
But you got to be able to adapt, right? You got to be able to move and change with the times. And I think a lot of what you've done with your business is a great example of that. And even during your CrossFit career, like you're in the middle of your CrossFit career and you were building your businesses, and because you probably recognize like, I could probably do something with this CrossFit stuff. It'd be pretty cool. I can probably be pretty competitive, but I'm passionate about fitness and I am actually really digging this, and maybe I should start some gyms.
Yeah. I mean, I started doing the gyms and then doing the corporate wellness. I think you're totally right. You got to be willing to like pivot. And I think that was part of that conversation, is like, be okay with taking these risks, because without taking some type of risk, there's no way you're going to reach your potential, right? Like, I mean, you just can't, you can't be super, super comfortable. And launching our new app is a great example. And I know I'm talking about this. Obviously, I'd love to have people go download it, but it is a business case that we didn't have a focus on the end customer. And we recognized that was a weakness in our chink in our armor, because we had different verticals of revenue, which was great, but we never had anything to really service the end consumer as well as we should. And COVID really opened our eyes to that. And so we had to make that pivot.
Yeah. When I've been to your gyms before, I've always been really impressed at the coaching that you do have. And I always kind of thought to myself, like, man, imagine if like you're just everyday person could get some of this, and now you've provided it.
Yeah, I mean,
in a digital platform, it's awesome.
Well, when you start a company, you have a vision, right? I mean, most people do. And for me, it was like to do what I love for a living, to provide that to as many people as possible through coaches. So that was the original goal. Like, I want to have a business. Let me hire X amount of coaches, do what they love, and then they can impact as many members as possible. Then as it grows, right, you start saying, well, how do I make a bigger impact? Not even just outside these four walls, but outside of those four walls. And we're now trending towards that, right? We have a lot of gyms that use our programs. We have end users that use our program. And then the long-term goal in the next like 3 to 5 years is, how do you take this big audience? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 people, and then go do really cool shit together, like philanthropic efforts, blood drives, something, because now you have a critical mass, you can go move the needle. That's like the bigger vision of what I want to do, right? Is get people to do what they love for a living, provide impacts to the end user, to people, so they can get more fit and healthy. And then once you build a critical mass, go do something cool with it, which we've already been doing cool stuff, but even more cool stuff.
I want to kind of maybe see if we can rewind before even kind of the CrossFit Games that you won, and before you started your business, because I feel like there's a lot of like younger cats, maybe 16, 18, 19, 20. They don't really know, right, what they want to do. They don't have that. They're in college, major, you don't even know what you want to do there, right? So what was your mindset like at that point? And what were you, did you know you wanted to do something with fitness? Did you know you wanted to own a gym? But like, how did you figure that stuff out? Because I talk to a lot of people, and they're in a place where they're just kind of like lost with figuring that out. Like even things that they're interested in, they don't know where they want to go, what they want to do, what their purpose or passion is. So where was your mindset when you were like that young?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I do speaking for San Clair University like every couple of months to young entrepreneurs, and we get this question a lot, right? Yeah. And I think that for me, I was really blessed because I started working at the health club at a really young age. Oh. And so at 15, 16, I was working the front desk. And then when I was in college, I started selling gym memberships. So I fell in love with the idea of owning a gym. Okay. And then I had some great mentors that kind of took me under their wing and showed me the business side, showed me this stuff. So I definitely had a leg up. My recommendation for anybody is, especially in college, I think college is changing. I look at education a little bit different for my kids.
Did you go to college?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I look at I look at college and education different for my children than the way my dad looked at it for me. So my dad came from Iran. Education was key, and you had to go to college. Like it was just like, what do you mean you don't want to go to college, right? So I went to college and I graduated, whatever. But I think for my kids, I'm looking at more like education is very, very important because that's something that someone can never take away from you, right? They could take away anything else, but they can't take away your education, what you learned. But I don't think that only has to come through school. I think you can get that through a variety of different ways. So my recommendation would be for someone who's trying to seek out what they want to be interested in is to go to school in a variety of different ways, like working here at, Super Training Gym, right? Work here, be a fucking janitor and learn. And then all of a sudden start asking questions and see if this is even an industry you want to get in. Then maybe you start working at a coffee shop and you start trying to understand that. What is the back end? Are you trying to go source beans and own the company? Or are you trying to be the world's best barista? But I think the more that we could explore these different verticals and learn from people who are in it, I think is the best way to go. Because you might find out from someone you think you want to own a gym, but you might get to know this gym owner really well and realize it's probably not for you. And if you could do that before you actually sign a lease or take that leap, dude, you're winning.
I did that same exact thing when I was in college. It caused me to drop out when I, junior year, volunteered at the UC Davis ER. And that's when I actually got to talk to a lot of doctors because before that point, I wasn't able to talk to any. I just thought I wanted to be one. And I was good at math and science. When I started talking to them and their lifestyles and how long they weren't at home and how long they were at work,
it's a tough life to live.
I was like, I'm out real quick. Right. So
it's a good place to start, though. Like, imagine if you had done that earlier on, you maybe could have had a different path, right?
I wish I did.
So I think for my kids, as they get older, one of the things that I want to do is introduce them to people in our network who are in different spaces they might be interested in. For example, they're interested in film. Let's go talk to someone who's in that industry to get a better idea of what is it all about, and then what verticals are in that, right? Or sports management. What is in that? So those are the type of things that I'm thinking about for our kids. And if they end up going to college, that's excellent. If that's their path, if they found out other ways to be successful, that's fine too. They just can't be lazy and living at home when they're 25.
Yeah, and you just need a skill set is really what it boils down to. And so you have to be educated at something. You're going to have to be a material expert in something if you're trying to be maybe not even an expert, but you'll have to know. You'll have to know some shit in order to be able to like make money and be successful. You'll have to have something that people want.
Well, I wish I had, earlier on in business, I wish I would have taken more time to say, hey, if I'm an employee of a company, I want to make myself so valuable that when I ask for a raise or they're going to give me one because I'm adding so much value to the business.
Seems logical.
It wouldn't be what could the company do for me? It'd be what can I do for the company so I become such a baller in their eyes that they have to pay me more money, right? And that same thing goes for like in your business. If you decide to be an entrepreneur and go out there, what is the available market for what you want to provide? And how do you make an impact on more people? The more people you can make an impact on, the more money you could actually generate. And whether you make it through products or service like us, that would have been like a really sit down moment for me. If I could go back to myself in college, say, hey, if I'm going to work for someone, make yourself so damn valuable that you become where you want to go, right? Or if you decide to do your own thing, what is the total available market? And, how do I provide value to as many people as possible?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I think is interesting, one thing that a lot of people maybe should think about too is like, for example, myself, I work here with Mark and Andrew, and it's like, I work with them, right? But I also literally like work for Slingshot, right? I think when I was younger, I wanted to like own my own, but there's a lot of things I was like, I wanted to own my own business or whatever, all that type of stuff. And I kind of do with the clients I work with. But I mean, you got to figure out, like, I figured out that I really do like working with a team of people. I like working with other people. I don't want to be like alone, just doing my own thing. Right. And I think you should figure out, because like some parts of entrepreneurship may look glamorous when people have YouTube videos and all that type of stuff, but maybe that's not for you. And it's necessary to go experience that.
Yep, 100%. Entrepreneurship, especially lately, has been really highlighted as like this holy grail. And I think that for a lot of people, it could be a great route. Or for a lot of people, it could be the most stressful, unnecessary route they could possibly go by because they could be so excellent at another craft. They just didn't. I think the moral of the story of what we're talking about is like, you shouldn't pigeonhole yourself into doing one thing because that's what you think you should do.
Yeah.
Go explore a variety of things and go find what makes you happy and what you're uniquely good at. And whether it's being a doctor or being an inventor or, owning a company, those are all different things. It's all good.
And you've been at this for what, 10, 15 years?
Dude, we signed our first lease in 2008. So 13 years.
Yeah. And it takes a long time. Like, so some people might say like, oh, I'd love to be able to do, some of what you're doing or somebody else that they're following, but it's going to take you like a decade to be able to sort of like make your own schedule. And even now you don't really, there's still places you got to go and things you got to do that I think that originally people think that they're going to work for themselves, but you literally can never work for yourself. In Nsima's case, working with clients, you work for the clients. In my case, I sell products online. I work for my customers as well. And
Right.
you'll always be trapped by that in some way.
Yeah.
There's no free lunch. There's no way to get
I
out.
work for the company and the company works to service the members, right?
Right.
So I'm an employee of NCFit, just like everybody else. And NCFit's goal is to, support people all over the world who want to put in the effort through fitness, right? And hopefully they do a good job of that, and I support it. But at the end of the day, you're always working for somebody, right?
Is your app available on both platforms?
So right this moment, it's available on Apple. It'll be available on Android probably in the next week or two. I don't know when this podcast is going out, but 100% right now it's on Apple. And I'm super proud of this app, man. I really am. It was a huge team effort. We integrated music. We have 4 daily workouts. We have daily videos for people to watch. We have on-demand content. It's the most robust, beautiful user interface of any functional training app on the market. And I'm really proud of it. And I think it's just the beginning, right? It's like you guys, when maybe the first time you rolled out the slingshot, you're like, dude, this is like my baby. I'm super proud of it. I feel that same way right now, and I can't wait for more people to go check it out.
That's great that you're fired up about it. And we're fired up about it for you. And I know that it's going to do well. And even just that one workout that we did with it was fun.
So good. It was such a good workout, man. And
Those
the app,
goblet squats, man.
the app itself is just, it's fucking great. It's beautiful. It's awesome. Yeah. Oh, what's he?
Oh,
Mark
yeah,
doing?
there you go.
Oh, okay,
I
guys.
see a 1 gallon jug of Yeti, and I see it says commit.
So, guys, if you're not watching YouTube, we have something on the table.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm just saying that Jason brought us some dope gifts last time. He brought us this giant jug right here. I just put it on the table so the
I love this
YouTube
thing.
people can see it. It's a gallon.
gallon.
It's so ridiculous.
It might as well be a
Massive.
10-gallon jug.
It's
this
a
thing-
gallon Yeti. I mean, you could fill it up with booze. You could fill it up with coffee. You could fill it up with whatever the hell
You
you
said,
want.
what do you guys usually do when you go on camping trips?
Oh yeah, well, we've put margaritas in here for sure. Well, going to the beach is great because you could just put all the margarita mix and then just add ice later on, like right in your cup. But I mean, dude, this thing, especially when you fill it with water,
so heavy.
you could basically do kettlebell swings, sumo deadlift, high pulls. You could do it's your workout partner and your hydration system.
And a weapon.
Oh, a huge weapon. Could you imagine getting nailed over the head with
Oh
this
my
thing?
God.
Hey, how'd you get knocked out? Dude, I got hit over the head with a gallon jug of Yeti.
Yeah, this thing's crazy.
And because we're just dorks, we when you showed us that the cap has a magnet like on the
yeah.
thing, we're like, oh my gosh,
Bruh,
like,
that
we,
got
we
me
lost
so
our
hyped.
shit.
All right, everybody, watch
Magnet.
this.
Oh,
Dude.
That's so fun to just
Dude.
do.
Pretty fancy.
Wait, I don't.
Where are you going to put the cap?
Why are we talking about this right now?
I don't know. I just
because you brought it last time.
brought it as a
We've
present.
been so hyped
Yeah.
about it.
Dude, I
It
was,
was just
so,
sitting there, so I was looking at it. I was like, damn.
the cap I was so excited about, man. I came over here, I'm like, guys, so dude, you don't know where to put the cap? Watch this.
Bink.
Yeah.
How are you staying in shape nowadays?
So I do our workouts from the NCFit app pretty much almost every day. Or take class where obviously, we're in our gyms, which is the same program. And then I incorporate jiu-jitsu about 3 days a week. So 3 to 4 at the most. Jiu-jitsu for me is kind of a sweet spot, especially given like where I'm at with creating content through videos and when I kind of still have to get in my workout every single day. And if I train jiu-jitsu more than 3 times plus the workout, I feel a little bit too fatigued. So been doing that, man. Been getting after it.
What about food wise?
Dude, I'd love to have a better answer for you, but I've just been trying to eat, real food. I generally fast like until like midday, kind of like you guys do.
You just eat when you're hungry. You eat till you're full. You don't really eat a lot of junk food, right?
No, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's simple. You exercise enough to where it probably doesn't.
I exercise quite a bit. My wife cooks really healthy meals at dinner. During the day, again, I don't eat too much because I'm kind of active or on the go. And then, that's about it.
I want to ask you something, man, because you probably get this question all the time. You're still 212, heavily muscled, right? And you've been doing jiu-jitsu for a minute now. And a lot of people think that when they start doing something like that, they're just going to waste away. Like even me, I'm not. So what do you do to maintain your physique and maintain your frame? And did you ever find that there was a time when you were dropping a lot of muscle, or were you just
kind of consistent? I think for me, obviously genetics play a role into it. Like all three of us probably are more genetically kind of disposed to probably being larger, which helps because I could lift a weight and I could gain strength pretty quickly. Whereas some other people, they could lift every single day and they don't have as,
much it takes them longer. Yeah.
It takes them longer. So I would say it's a combination of genetics and good, I guess good luck if you want to call it that. And then also, training consistently still our workouts where they're largely strength-based, right? Mm-hmm. We're looking at designing a program specifically for combat athletes that's a little bit more very, very focused on strength side because you get so much conditioning from your rolls, but you don't get as much strength work from your rolls.
Yeah. Do you think personally, because like when I look at training in the gym, right? I think that any athlete that does grappling, as long as they conceptually, as long as they just focus on getting stronger and getting bigger in the gym, they don't need to worry about any special moves for jiu-jitsu. Because the question that I end up getting a lot is like, oh, what specific movements in the gym should I do for jiu-jitsu, or what this or what that? But I'm just like, if you just work on building a strong body in the gym, so getting stronger and getting bigger, and on the mats, just go roll, you will then be able to take that body that you're building in the gym and apply it to the mat. And then, you get what I'm saying? It doesn't need to be harder than that. But what are your thoughts on that?
Same thing. I mean, I think that I have put out a little bit of content online where trying to find some similarities between the movements off the mat to on the mat, more so just to kind of show the correlation. Mm-hmm. But I think for most people, most of the time you get on a great, Wendler 531 strength program. Yeah. You combine that with some like 10-minute Imams and AMRAPs, and you're going to be fit as hell for on the mat. Mm-hmm. And I think you focus on compound movements. And I think you focus on movements that are more transferable outside the gym. So, there's a lot of common theme in the jiu-jitsu space is you get in your jiu-jitsu and then you'll go and you'll do more bodybuilding style workouts. But that doesn't make sense to me much aside from aesthetic looks, right? If you want to look good, dude, you should be doing isolated muscle groups for sure. But if you're trying to get better at jiu-jitsu, I think you should be doing compound movements like deadlifts, squats, benches, presses, kettlebell swings, that kind of stuff, because it relates more to on the mat work.
And using your full body, because you have to use your full body to move a compound movement. So do you think that, okay, let's talk about as far as doing isolation movements like your bicep curls, your chest press, dumbbell chest presses, etc. Would there be space for that to be an addition in your mind, or do you think that the athlete should be focusing on compounds and not really doing accessories, or is there space for accessories?
I think the accessories are great for if you have, a muscle deficiency in a specific area where you really want to work, or like, dude, let's be honest, if you want to look good, if you want to look better, if you want to look sexy at the beach and you want your traps to be bigger, you could probably work that, your calves. But I don't necessarily think that I don't think you can make a correlation between doing calf raises and your improvement on the mat. I do think you can make a correlation between doing thrusters, which is a squat and a press overhead, and your correlation on the mat.
That is true.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't do calf raises or bicep curls or shoulder shrugs. Fuck, go for it. It's just, I think if you could have had to pick and choose, you'd probably focus on the compound ones.
Yeah. Always amazing having you here. It's always fun to get around you because you got so much energy.
Oh yeah, it's
and the rest of us feel it every time you come around. So appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm just fired up, dude. I'm ready to rock.
Always fired up. Andrew, take us on out of here, buddy.
I will. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode, and shout out to Eat Right Foods for sponsoring today's episode. We'll have an official, opening with them. But
Eat Right's party.
Yeah, Eat Right. Yeah. EatRightFoods.com at checkout. Enter promo code Power Project for 25% off your first order. And then after that, 10% off every order with code Power Project. Please make sure you follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter. My Instagram and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z, and I'm on TikTok now as well at the Andrew Z. Nsima, where you at?
Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Jason
Khalipa, Khalipa on Instagram and Facebook and all those different platforms, YouTube, and now, soon to be TikTok celebrity.
Hey.
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. Catch y'all later.